Today is October 7th, which marks the one-year anniversary of a deadly attack that took place in Israel, launched by the Hamas. Let's get into the details of what the situation is like in West Asia ever since escalations began on this day last year. A year has passed since the conflict in the West Asia intensified, expanding from Gaza and Israel to affect much of the region. The war began on October 7, 2023, with a Hamas assault that claimed the lives of about 1,200 Israelis, while around 250 Israelis were taken hostage and brought to Gaza. In retaliation, Israel launched Operation Sword of Iron, which is aimed at expunging Hamas and securing the release of the hostages. Despite huge efforts, the campaign continues, with Gaza facing widespread devastation. So far, around 42,000 Gazan civilians have died as per the Palestinian Health Ministry, and 75% of Gaza's infrastructure has been reduced to rubble. Apart from Gaza, Israeli operations in the West Bank have claimed the lives of hundreds of Palestinians. Militarily, Israel has succeeded in partially dismantling Hamas military capabilities, but its mission to rescue the hostages has seen little progress. October 7 attack also revealed major intelligence gaps within Israel. After the attack, Israel responded with a heavy bombardment of Gaza, later starting a ground invasion on October 30th. However, conflict has led to a mounting humanitarian crisis, with homes, hospitals and schools being destroyed and many civilians being caught amid the crossfire. Greatest victims in this ongoing conflict have undoubtedly been the Palestinian people, both in Gaza and the West Bank. In Gaza, more than 1.5 million Palestinians have been displaced by Israel's relentless attacks, which left the population grappling with dire shortages of water, food and essential supplies. Meanwhile, violence against Palestinians in the West Bank has surged since October 7th, with Israeli settlers and police escalating their actions. Raids on Palestinian homes by Israeli forces have become a daily occurrence, which has resulted in the detention of thousands of Palestinians. Globally, public opinion on the Israel-Palestine conflict has shifted noticeably. Pro-Palestinian protests have erupted in many countries, including staunch Israeli allies like the United States and the United Kingdom. Moreover, since the war began, dozens of nations, primarily Western nations, have officially recognized Palestine as an independent state. Currently, around 146 of the 193 UN member states have granted Palestine the status. As the humanitarian crisis in Gaza worsened and Israel pressed on with its attacks, defying international calls for restraint, other militias in the region entered the fray. Hezbollah Houthi fighters and Iraqi Shia militias have begun targeting both Israel and the US. This is the situation that we bring to you, ladies and gentlemen. Tensions have been on the high in West Asia since October 7th. And to discuss this in greater depth, we are being joined by our guest, Anat Bernstein-Roy, President of Israel Asia Chamber of Commerce. Very good morning to you, Anat. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast. It's 1 year since this attack had taken place, and we've only seen escalations take place, not just in Gaza. As of today, we see Israel being involved in multiple battlegrounds developing with different nations, different outfits, proxy wars taking place against each of these organizations currently. Where does Israel stand after this year has passed?
So we are talking now exactly 1 year post the wake-up call that Israel got at 6:30 in the morning Israel time on October 7. And I call it the era of wake up, and before that it was the innocent days. Israel is fighting now 7 fronts, and it all connected to Iran eventually. I mean, they were talking about Palestinian cause, they were talking about terrorist groups like the Hamas, like Hezbollah, like the Houthis in Yemen. But eventually, and now we all see who is behind all these activities against Israel, and this is Iran, which I call them the puppeteers. They are actually the one that is actually making their proxies fight Israel, whether it is from Iraq, whether it is from Syria, Lebanon, Gaza, West Bank, Yemen. It's all connected. And it took it a year, and we now actually, our major conflict is directly with Iran. So they showed their true faces and true colors eventually. They started to show it in April 30th. They did it last week, last Tuesday, and they continue. And it's very unfortunate, but it's good that the world sees who is behind it. And all those stories about the Palestinian cause, Gaza was held by the Palestinians before October 7. They had sovereignty over this strip. So it was unprovoked what they did on this terrible October 7. And we are a nation, I would say, in trauma, not even a post-trauma, because we believe that the trauma still exists. There are over 100 hostages still kept in Gaza. Sinwar, the head of Hamas, refuses to negotiate or tries to negotiate, but it never succeeds. Today morning, Israel is mourning this 1 year. The families of the hostages are conducting several events throughout Israel, including a protest next to the Prime Minister house, asking him to put more pressure to release the hostages and get into an agreement to release them if it's possible. On same time, we are confronted with Iran. This morning, last night, there were attacks on north of Israel. A lot of terror attacks are now conducted in Israel, whether it's in Beersheba yesterday, whether it's in Tel Aviv, in Jaffa, a train station last week. And it goes on. And this octopus that we call Iran is actually managing this entire, and we believe in Israel that actually the war against Iran is done on behalf of the liberal democratic countries that need to fight along with us this evil that is trying to ruin the liberal values that we all share.
Absolutely, Anna. In fact, as we have passed 1 year, I have one little question for you here. At this given point, how does, as you yourself mentioned, there are hostages families who are still asking what the Prime Minister is doing for these hostages to come back. There have been several conversations from Western nations with regards to a possible ceasefire. Even after 1 year, what are the possibilities? What is being negotiated on the ground with regards to the hostages, with regards to what action is being taken, with regards to whether a ceasefire is possible or not? Because we see at this given point, the escalations only intensifying with each and every passing day. Where does Israel stand? Is Israel equipped enough to, be involved in so many multiple proxy wars?
It's not simple. It's definitely not simple. A ceasefire is definitely possible. A ceasefire in Gaza is possible tomorrow morning. They release the hostages. We withdraw from Gaza. We are talking about a coalition of countries getting into Gaza and managing Gaza. We refuse to allow Hamas to regain power in Gaza, because then there will be October 7 again. And they very clearly said so. It's not me that I'm saying it, nor the government. They say it, Hamas say it, that the moment we go out, they rebuild their infrastructure. We saw how they built their infrastructure over the past almost 20 years, investing instead of education and health, they invested in the infrastructure of terror, building tunnels that are like the New York tunnel system, investing in missiles that they were, and rockets that they were launching by the dozens so far, few thousands over Israel. So it will not end. This is their ideology to eliminate us. So, I mean, the moment we let them go back to Gaza, the story repeats. So what have we achieved? We want to give peace to this region, and the peace cannot be achieved when Hamas is in power. We need liberal countries to go inside, whether it's Saudi or UAE or the help of US or even Egypt, to create a coalition to manage Gaza until a leadership will be built within Gaza to manage Gaza as it should be, under peaceful terms. So this is the ceasefire that we see with Hamas. As we go up north to Lebanon, and Hezbollah, the terror group that actually took Lebanon as a hostage, we call it, again, a ceasefire is possible as long as Lebanon allows a UN resolution from 2006 to demilitarize a 40-kilometer area in the north of Israel so that Hezbollah cannot attack and send missiles to Israel. So all is possible. There just needs to be someone that help us achieve those goals. And again, Israel is not trying to
Absolutely. You know, I think in the coming days, we could only hope for such a situation. But given it's a very crucial time for Israel, given the kind of circumstances that's building around it from all sides of it at this given point, with several outfits and organizations from different nations coming to attack Israel, as well as Israel retaliating. We only hope that in the coming days there is negotiation that takes place between Israel and these given nations. With that, Anat, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast to bring us more insights on this day.
Please.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Well, that was Anat Bernstein-Reich, President of the Israel-Asia Chamber of Commerce, bringing us insights on this crucial day, October 7th, marking the one-year anniversary of Israel-Gaza war.